about it together. So we are now officially recording. So let's go ahead and get started with our updates as promised. We like to keep these nice and short to about a half hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But we are going to look at our utility updates today and what the road ahead is really looking like for us. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them in our Telegram chat so that I can get them answered for us. And these slides will go in there in the chat afterwards, along with the AMA recording. So we are going to go over some of the educational arcade updates. We're going to take a look at our featured game, the first one, the Saffron's Moonshot teaser. We're going to look at our gaming release timeline estimation. We're going to talk a little bit about exchange listings and that progress. I know some people have asked about that stage for the project, and we do have some updates there. Then we're going to look at our roadmap ahead. And so where to? Where are we going next? How are we going to get there in terms of marketing? So we know where we want to go. How are we going to get there? And what kind of marketing do we need to do to get there? So that's what will be explained there. Our marketing strategies. So talking about what we have planned and also what we're working with in terms of the amount of funding we have for marketing. Some people had questions about what amounts of funding we're able to share and disclose. And so we'll get into a little bit of that there. And what we can share at this point. And then we have really just our SOWL ecosystem. I shared a screenshot the other day and just want to revisit that ecosystem graphic of the cycle of how all of our utilities inevitably will be working with one another. And then just any questions you might have, and just a thank you for your time. All right, so let's kick things off here. So we've got our educational arcade update. So here is where we are in terms of development for the arcade. So our 130 plus games are all completely developed, and we are finalizing the descriptions of the games right now, and the names of the games, the different categories that they fall under, and the overall review of the gameplay experience. So just going through some of those games. Been a lot of gameplay over here and just making sure that they're fitting in the appropriate categories that ultimately will know where they're going to fall in terms of their educational content for the ones that are still skills based for now. So we've been doing a lot of that, but they're all built. The armory of power-ups that we have is fully developed and incorporated into all of the different games, and you can purchase these power-ups from the armory using SOWL tokens. The various gameplay models are also developed. So having the solo free play, the play to earn just by yourself solo, the 1 versus 1, so you playing against another holder, and those battles where everyone can play against each other for 24 hours and the highest score wins the pot of tokens. All of those different versions have been developed and will be available to the community when users make an account. So that is all ready to go as well. And then the educational incorporation, so the math questions and the learning integration throughout the games, especially that first one, Saffron's Moonshot, because we know that's a math-based game, has been and is continuing to be implemented one by one into our developed games. So you'll see a little sneak peek of that game in just a little bit. But when saying, what is Saffron's Moonshot, this is our first, what we like to call soulized game, which is where we take a skills-based game and add in the educational component from our curriculum creators and making sure that they are, evenly distributed and have equal education and, gameplay content there, and that the one goes with the other and that they are a hand-in-hand grouping. So that is our first game that we'll take a look at here in just a second. So here's a little teaser we have of Saffron's Moonshot in the SOWL Educational Arcade. So we are currently still adding in those descriptions, as I mentioned before. We want to just make sure that they are perfectly describing your game. When you think of a video game that comes out, especially if you go to the store and you buy it, that description means everything. So we're still working on that, making sure it's absolutely perfect. But when we come over here, again, this is only a test link right now, so this isn't the one for you guys to access yet, but we'll have that soon. You'll be able to have a Hall of Fame down here, people, as you make your accounts. So you'll have your own like username where you'll then connect your wallet to it. So your wallet won't always be on display, which I like just as a security feature, but you can make your own unique username. Then you have your image in the background. This is a perfect time for your NFT, which is kind of why, one of the many reasons we created those. And then it'll also show how many SOWL tokens you've earned on a certain game too. So that's really neat. We can see who's like on the leaderboard for Saffron's Moonshot or for any of these other games. So for instance, if we click on this one here, and you can't have more than one game up in 2 tabs. So you can't like double dip and earn tokens at the same time. So you can't have, this game up and then another game up and then another game and running them all. So in the interest of fairness, you can only have one game up playing on the play to earn model at a time. So we'll have our game here for Saffron's Moonshot. It'll say how many times it's been played. I promise I didn't set it to 19. It just so happens that my lucky number, my favorite number, is where we are today. So that's a beautiful sign. You could choose to play solo. Or you can have the duel or the challenge where, you're either playing against one other person that you're friends with, or maybe a group of you want to get together. So it's a really nice way to interact. It's almost like, group projects or, a thing that you do with an entire class. So then you have a bunch of other different games and stuff down here. Some of them we still have placeholders in, but we keep integrating them all in because we have different age groups, we have different genres, different categories. So these are all some temp placeholders right now in here. But as for all of our games being developed, we have those. So let's go ahead. Let me just make sure before we do a little teaser, make sure we don't have any questions. All right. I turned off the sound just so it's a little easier for us to play, but many of you recognize this background here. As you can see, we modernized it a little bit. When you play, you can either tap with your mouse or your space bar. So let's see. I'm not always the best at it. I might need to warm up a little bit. I'm just playing on free mode for now. So you have Saffron flying through. And then ultimately you want to get through these barriers. Before we had the pipes, but we said, they're a little too similar to Flappy Bird itself, and we want this to be a little bit more modern. Oh, I'm at a math question. 7 times 10. Oh, I have my lives. 70. All right, and now instead of flying immediately, you tap to continue, and then you have time to keep flying. Oh, no. Oh, and make it down. Whew. Now this portal makes you invincible. You can fly through anything. These meteors. Oh, and then, yeah, so some of the wording too, that's one thing I will say we're changing. We're making it a little bit more kid-friendly on some of the verbiage and words. So I did want to say that. So then, we'll play one more time. Yeah, so some things, and that's all part of the final stages of development. I want to be very particular with every single word, everything in our descriptions, making sure that they're all, family oriented and culturally sensitive too. So that's where a lot of our final things come in, and just where I'm often a perfectionist, which in this case, I think you guys will be thankful that I am. All right. Oh, get away from the meteors. Yeah. So as you guys can see, and it'll be fun too, because then, even being able to play on free mode, it just felt like it was fair to give you guys this option to be able to kind of master the mechanics of the game, especially if you're playing for tokens. You never want to put a bunch of tokens up and then not even know how to play the game and then feel like, a project is just taking money from you. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So see, you just keep playing, you go through all these different portals, and I want to see if I can get far enough. Let's see how I can play today. I did it the other day, and I'm taking up a lot of time. I'm sorry. As you guys can see, it can get a little addicting. And if you're an NFT holder, soon you're going to have access to these too. I'm just trying to get to the point in the game where you see the challenge part, because some of you asked about the learning curve of the game, and I'm getting a little faster now. All right, now, oh, here it is. As you can see, they start to slant a little bit. And then, oh my gosh, 4, 5, 5. Oh my gosh, why can't I think? Is it a plus 30? Oh, 5, 5, 5. I couldn't tell if it was a division or an addition sign. All right, well, I'll let myself go soon. I haven't gotten this far yet. See, okay, so then you get hit. So yeah, so basically that's the gist of it. I'll hop back over to our slides now, see if anyone has any questions. But yeah, we still have some little things like the wording, the directions, everything, making sure it's all crystal clear. So now moving on, let's talk about what the release timeline looks like. I know this is very important to people. So that finalizing of the development, working out all those little kinks, making sure we like the names of everything, and making sure that those of you who have NFTs are getting your perks, set up and everything. That should be happening over the next 2 weeks based on how we've all been working. I know I've been kind of quiet working behind the scenes. We've been doing that for a long time here, but now we're coming up to those final stages. So we're looking at over the course of these next 2 weeks, which then means 2 weeks later, that's when that marketing is going to be continuing, which means you should expect to see it happening, really, really soon here, actually, and then into those 2 weeks further on even more turbo drive. And then finally, by that very end of the next month, or by the end of next month, looking at releasing to the entire public at large. So it's going to be really, really cool. Moving on now to our exchange listing updates. And this is all happening so fast, just a couple weeks, and it's exciting. We're going to talk about the exchange listings, and then we're going to talk about that marketing and funding at the end. Exchange listings. So we actually have 3 exchanges we're currently discussing listing with. These listings do require a certain percentage of token supply, as you guys are all aware. And then one of the options is for us to buy back those tokens and that supply that we would be giving to the exchange. I know that there are fees associated with listing on an exchange. Sometimes, every case is different. Every supply amount is different as well. But, when we look at what we're going to be doing for marketing, buying back those tokens and then listing on an exchange, that's like a double, what's the right word? A double impact in terms of marketing, because not only are you buying tokens to increase the chart, but then you're also announcing the exchange you're listing on using those tokens. It's like, bam, you just had 2 mega things happen in terms of marketing, and it's only going to help us even more. So that's why we're looking at that as a pretty viable strategy, as long as, we do our due diligence and our research to end up going with a really great exchange to list with. Now, the ones that we're looking at really have their own exposure and notoriety already. And that's important for us because we need that, so we always want to aim up. So we're looking into exchanges that are already well known and can provide that exposure that we need. We have our own sense of exposure, but when we go and we, shoot for the stars, we head towards the moon, we want to go and aim bigger to those groups that have even larger amounts of exposure. So that's what we're aiming for. Got to aim big. And then these projects and these exchanges also have similar audiences and like-minded goals as us. You want it to make sense. You don't want to list on an exchange just because they're super big and you just paid a ton of money for bragging rights. You want to make sure you're going with people that are, going to that exchange and have a similar interest in projects like yours, because like-minded goals and similar audiences are important. And really, it's because we want to make sure that the fit makes sense and that we're finding long-term holders. If you're listing on an exchange where people that are attracted to that exchange really don't care much about the SOWL token, even though they should be, but even if they don't, they're only going to buy you and then dump you because it's exciting and a new listing. But like a lot of us discussed last time, we had a big marketing push. We're really trying to achieve and accomplish getting those long-term holders that stick. So going to the places where those holders are is what we're after. So we're going to be dropping the name of 1 or 2 of these very soon, if we end up doing more than one. But looking at our order of events, we are definitely going to be doing the marketing and the arcade release first. That's what we have to do to prepare for this next phase, which is our staking and our merchandise D-app releases. And that's where people can spend and use their earned tokens from the token rewards in the arcade. And, really seeing the benefits of all of the marketing we did to launch the arcade there. And then once we have all of that live, we want to have all of that utility functioning and looking like a full service shop, so to speak, before we announce and list on those exchanges and have that whole new audience come to us. We're gonna have that fresh token supply because we will have bought that supply that go with that exchange, and that'll also really even show a stronger chart in itself. So in terms of marketing now, to get to those other stages, we are starting, and these are the numbers that some people have asked for, and this is a number that we can disclose at this time. We're very fortunate for this, but just so people kind of know where we stand, given grants that we've applied for, private, groups that we've started building partnerships with, we are starting around a $30K marketing budget for the release of our arcade and showing that this is the new wave of SOWL and this is what everyone can expect to see. This is what's being funded by our private firm that we've partnered with. And this is a number that they've disclosed, though this is just for the first phase of marketing, and it does not include all of the tokens that they plan to buy. It also doesn't include the tokens that we plan to buy. So just keep that in mind as a very positive thing here. That is the one number that they're willing to share, but that doesn't include the amount that they're going to be buying. And remember, those are the ones that they're buying in that 0.01 BNB increment, because when you do a lot of them in such a quick amount of time, that's how you get listed on the top 10 trending tokens on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, BSC Scan. That's where you get all of that notoriety. So that's the strategy of us buying that way. But they're buying that in too. So this is all strictly for marketing, not just buybacks on the chart, just so that we're aware. I know there's a question real quick before we jump too far in terms of exchanges. Are these top 20 exchanges and well known? And what's the listing timeline for these exchanges? Yeah, so that's why we're already talking to them now, and they are. So two of the three of them are in that top 20 range. One of them I've looked at because I see a lot of potential in them, and because they list projects that have a lot of very similar audiences and holders that would look for projects like ours, because it would still be beneficial and very cost effective for us too. But that would be a little bit smaller. In terms of listing, the reason that we've actually been talking to them for about a month or so now is because it is a bit of a long process. So while we've had our 8-month plan kind of lined up, we had to start this a couple months ago. So provided that we can get our arcade launched, by the, looking at, June, and then getting our merchandise and our staking DApps done over the summer as well, wrapping up the end of the summer with a nice exchange would be a really incredible thing to announce. And that's really the timeline that they've put us on based on when we first started our communication with them too. So I know that the exchanges are really important to a lot of people because that shows a sign of elevating for a project and the longevity of really seeing, like, are they here to stay? Are they sticking around? And that's the message we're delivering. So any updates that I give to you guys, and in fact, if I might start getting open with you guys and saying, what do you guys think of this exchange? Whether it's one that we have our eyes on or not, I'm definitely going to just start asking you guys, because we need to know what people are using. I'm not going to go in blindly. I rely on you guys because we're all in this together, and we've all experienced so many different things at this stage in a project. So you can expect that. Jumping back to and thank you for that question. So jumping back into marketing here, our chart strategy. So not only do we have a marketing team on board, but we've actually implemented a chart strategy team as well. So a lot of the time when people ask us, do you have somebody like maintaining the chart? Like, are you watching it? And, we always say, well, we have to build. But now that we have the building down, we kept our heads down and we built. We built during that bear market. And now that we've built it, we've got to show it off. So now's the time where we do have to pay attention to that chart quite a bit. And so we do have that strategy team that's ensuring that they're going to be buying back what's needed for our initiatives, and to do so at the particular times that are needed and that are best from a marketing standpoint. So, if we know that something's about to start trending, or we know that, an ad is about to go live and there's like maybe a little blip in there where we're waiting for one thing to end and something else to start, or, hey, we're about to do an AMA, or, hey, a mass call is about to go out. Boom, let's push that chart. That's what they know. And I think you guys are going to be very thankful for that, because you guys are long-term people, and you'll be in the chart seeing new long-term people that we are going to be reaching. We're not going after the Jeets anymore. We're not trying to, we're going after the people that we know are looking for projects like this that just released a full-fledged, larger than life, bigger than anticipated utility, and it will be live, and they can earn from it and they can learn from it. And that's how we know we're going to keep people. And this is just phase one. So since the gaming updates will continue to progress, the marketing will need to as well. We can't stop marketing after this point. It has to be cyclical, and we'll get into that too. So with that being said, we'll be taking profits and reinvesting them into marketing and the chart. We need to be able to show that volume. So many of you have said, and I know how important it is, not so much always that market cap number you see, but that volume of buys and sells coming in and seeing that movement on the chart, ultimately going upwards, of course, but we have to see that. And that's how we know that strategy is going to kick in as well. All right, so then in terms of marketing, knowing what types of marketing we will be doing. So we have press releases coming out. A lot of you know like our exclusivity that we have for some of these press releases, but we have a few that are reaching some really large audiences in Web3 and outside of Web3, but in the financial districts. So we're very thankful for that, especially for the people that we're trying to reach in the States right now, kind of in the midst of regulations and funding opportunities for projects. We're keeping our eye on that. We're going to be doing an AMA tour. We're getting back out there to some of those big AMA stops. It almost makes me feel like we just launched back in October again because we're lining it up like a tour. But this time we're showing off something so big and it feels like a launch again because we have the biggest thing, the thing that was our selling point at launch is now here. So it's really cool to be able to go essentially on a tour with that again, and people can be playing and earning and learning. And now it's not an idea anymore in those AMAs. The real thing is here. So we're very excited and very fortunate to be able to get those set up. And I hope that you guys will all have your NFT as your display picture and go in there and support when I start announcing what that schedule will look like. We've got some very respectful, classy shilling groups going around. We don't want to be like Sir Spam-A-Lot going around everywhere and getting our name, tarnished in places. So we're going to be doing it timely, respectfully in the right places, along with what I find to be very effective are scheduled call blasts. So a lot of those groups that you guys all love, it's only really effective if they make a call out for the SOWL token all at the same time. And if we look back at our strategy for, when our private investors want to, buy in, like they're going to be, buying in all day, and you make these calls, people are going to see the chart and they're going to jump in and say, what's SOWL all about? They're going to be able to go to the utility and do the learn to earn and see the value and stick around. That's why we're very fortunate for the timing of all of this. And then finally, those scheduled buy bots, just alerting our other people and other groups that we're in, hey, people are buying into this project. Let me go check it out as well. Along with that, the team has their token buybacks along with the private firms that we have partnered with. And then we also have a couple of YouTubers and influencers. Obviously, we've done a lot with the vetting process of them, making sure that regulatory things, I'm very careful about this being a project that is headquartered in the United States, but also with SEC registration, making sure that when they do review our projects and our products and go in and play the arcade, that they're not soliciting us in any way, that they're not encouraging people to spend their money in any ways that they're not allowed to be saying. So we take that very seriously, and we make sure that we pick the right people that also know those rules. So just always be mindful of that too when you're going out there and looking for new projects and stuff and like how it's promoted. And then finally, some fun Twitter trending that we'll get going on, and just banner ads everywhere, CNR owl everywhere, saffrons all over the place. And this is just the beginning. So to wrap up here now, I know we're getting close to the end here. I just wanted to revisit this graphic that I pinned in the Telegram chat just a couple of days ago. But really, this is our concept map of how everything links together. So if we start over here on the right with the SOWL token, that's the native token, for the SOWL project, which launched on October 3rd. And if we're moving our way up, you'll see that the SOWL token, those tokens can be spent in the SOWL Educational Arcade, which is our play to earn utility that educates users and allows them to earn token rewards. Well, once you earn more rewards or you have more tokens to spend, you can spend them on merchandise. You'll be able to buy merchandise, apparel, clothing, water bottles, sunglasses, anything that your heart may desire. And you can buy it using fiat currency or crypto, including your SOWL tokens that maybe you just earned playing in the arcade. Well, Once you have your merchandise and you also have your token rewards from the arcade, you can either stake them or you can take your staked tokens and then go back and buy some merchandise or go back and play in the arcade with them. They all are linked together. What's even better is we've got this fun thing called the SOWL NFT Marketplace as well, where people can purchase NFTs that provide perks for ding, 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 back to the arcade, such as airdrops, game teasers that allow you to earn more token rewards, which then can go to merchandise or then go to staking and then back into the game, all starting back over again. So we love having so many different utilities and basically like sub sections of what make up the SOWL token, but this is just the beginning. We are more than just an arcade gaming platform because we don't want to just be, bottled into this one group of gaming. And, we don't want to be a meme token because, yeah, the owl is cute and animated, but we have purpose, we have value. We have merchandise that you'll be able to buy and walk around and market, very similar to the concept that Safe Moon had done. You're going to be able to walk around with a sweatshirt that has saffron on it, a QR code that can take people to go and buy their own SOWL tokens. And just from walking around in this sweatshirt that you earned on the arcade with your tokens that you earned because you bought an NFT, it really shows you how many different stages you can go through to just build your success with the SOWL token. So I implore you to study this up and see all the different opportunities and twists and turns and ways that you can take your very beginning SOWL tokens and do so much with them. So really to wrap things up here, and we're just about to hit 30 minutes, so I'm feeling good about our pacing here. Just don't be late to the party. That's my only message for you guys. I was trying to think of one nice little one-liner to say here. I want us all to be here for the fun. This link here that has our arcade on it, I'm working with our developers now to be able to get a custom one that I'll be able to share with our NFT holders who get that early access as part of the NFT perks. And then I'll also be able to show you guys who have those NFTs just how you'll be able to connect when you want to with, SOWL tokens, showing you how you're able to earn. I think I'm about to turn the sound on again. So we're going to have a lot of different opportunities more coming here, but I'm just really excited to be able to show you guys all that's, coming. Once the arcade is out, the sky's the limit to where we're going next with it, and to know what our funding looks like. Things are really quite bright for us. I want to thank you all. Again, if you weren't able to listen to the recording or you can't watch right now, it'll be provided in the chat along with our slides as well. Does anybody have any quick questions while I'm on here that I can answer? If you want to type them up in the chat real quick by any chance. Maybe. Just want to see if anyone has anything, perhaps. I'll stop sharing that. All right. Seems, if anybody thinks of something, just please don't hesitate to write it in the chat so I can answer for you. I'm going to stop our recording here. And